After the events of that day, the girl had started to get weird dreams about a massive city, where she saw a glimpse of a temple and a map leading to it. As her powers were slowly increasing, she tried to suppress those dreams for several days, but when they didn't stop, she decided to go in search of that temple following the map that she saw in her dream. After a few days of traveling, she reached to the face of a forest, but it wasn't like her dream, as it was supposed to be a city at that place instead of the forest. Regardless of it, she moved toward the direction where temple was supposed to be. But just like the city, there was no temple, but just thick forest. After looking around for a while, she tuned and decided to go back. But even after traveling for days, she couldn't find her way out of the forest and kept on reaching same place again and again, that being the place where temple was supposed to be. After trying for couple of days, the girl gave up and fall on ground. As she fall and became unconscious, she felt her body being dragged into the earth and suddenly opened her eyes to find herself laying in front of the temple in the center of an abandoned city. She picked herself up and went towards the temple, and as she stepped inside, a huge swarm of bug-like creatures surrounded her and a voice came from a pillar, Pyrorigins. She looked towards the source of that voice, but couldn't find anything, because of immense light that was being produced from there. So to understand what's happening, she steps towards that source taking all precautions. After getting close enough to the light, she gets surprised to see that the source of that voice was not a creature but a bow, who was radiating all that light. She gathered some courage and took her hand towards the bow. And just as she did, her body started to get vanished, and she woke up laying in the middle of the forest. Thinking it all to be a dream again, she stood up. But as she looked on her side, the bow was right there, still radiating that light. Without wasting any more time, she grabbed that bow and moved towards the exit and actually finds it this time. But as she was heading back to her house, she gets attacked by a weird arrow, which was radiating a purple energy as strong as the bow that she was holding. But all of those attacks got blocked by the bow itself, so the arrows went towards the sky. Confused by all this, the girl fall on her knees and start crying and asking herself if she is going crazy. But saving her from this breakdown, a voice comes from the bow and echoes in her ears, "You are Pyrorigins." Surprised and scared by this, she asked the bow to elaborate. To which it replied that he is varmint, one of the primordial weapon, and that he was designed to accompany a primordial being. Hearing this, the girl said that she is not any primordial being and varmint must have made a mistake in identifying her. Which varmint refused and turned toward her and shot her while telling that she is the embodiment of elemental fire and her name is Pyrorigins. And as the arrow hit her body, she started glowing and in few seconds, started to burn and Pyrorigins got into her elemental form. Varmint told her that he is a binary weapon and that arrow was Callistus, being the second half of the varmint, and that they should follow Callistus, as it was radiating an odd energy. Being connected to it, varmint was able to track Callistus and started following it along with Pyrorigins. Meanwhile, Callistus was in dire need of energy, so it started to consume minor asteroids, but when it sensed a strong energy which was coming from the sinister trap, it went to consume it. But Pyrorigins and varmint reached there in time, and Pyro fired her first arrow and destroyed trap before Callistus could have consumed it. But as she broke the trap, Justice, me and remaining terrestrials got out of there, and those terrestrials tried to attack Pyro, but she decimated them all. While this was happening, the dark energy left control over Callistus and took over me. As a result, I got enraged and started attacking everyone and everything. So Pyro fixed Callistus and shot me, which separated me from that energy, and that energy turned out to be a very powerful psychic who was born from the genes radiated by all the 7 beings who died after their gene frequency was altered by the 14 string. And that energy had got a conscious, identifying itself as Fiend. Me and Pyro went on attacking it, but it was stronger than us, as he was constantly switching his gene frequency into a different being, evading all of our attacks. So we needed to finish all his form at once. So I called upon my friends Sylvia and Luna. Then I, Pyro, Justice, Varmint, Callistus, Solivia and Luna attacked Fiend at once. Our strike was so precise that it destroyed 6 of the 7 genomes of his body, and with that we defeated the Fiend.